Hello, everybody. We are live for another Unapologetically Bold. I am not sorry for. I am excited today to have one of my friends here, Rebecca. She is somebody that I've recently started interacting with prior to COVID 19, but then after COVID 19, especially in the work that she does, it seems that we keep connecting back again. And so she's just an awesome human being that has such a unique background. So I'm excited for everybody to get to hear her today. So thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So before we get started, I do just want to give a quick plug. Please continue to like, subscribe, share, and if you're on the podcast, download. As our goal is to spread the message on what we should stop apologizing for, and a lot of that is about just being awesome humans that sometimes we feel we can't talk about. But we are going to be talking about it today, aren't we, Rebecca?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. So, what are you not sorry for?
I am not sorry for caring for you and caring for humanity in general.
I love it. So, Rebecca, tell me a little bit about your background, and then also tell me, how did you even get to this point?
Sure. So my background is it's very an interesting story. I've basically been in professional security services in that industry since 2003. That's also when I started my sales journey, which the very beginning of that road was actually selling tombstones, marble tombstones. Yes.
Yeah.
Before that, I had been pursuing a path on the medical side to be a nurse, and ultimate goal was to be a medical missionary nurse. And so things changed. We moved to Georgia, got with a staffing company, and they stuck me at this marble plant up in North Georgia, and they stuck me to be the executive assistant of the sales director. He had some personnel changes, and he one day comes in the office. Here's a bunch of marble samples. Here's some brochures. Learn it. Here's a list of all our dealers, and they need to buy a lot more tombstones from us. So figure it out and get me some orders. And that was my introduction to sales. And the amazing thing is I did what he said. I started making calls, and not even less than a month later, he was getting complaints from the factories because they couldn't get out enough tombstones. I was placing too many orders.
So I love it. That's cool. And I didn't know that. I love whenever I have people on, and I'm shocked at what you did. I didn't even know that part. So you start with the tombstones, and then what did you go to after that?
Into security. That's when I got into this. So it was that aha moment that I'm like, wow, I'm really good at sales. Who would have known? I thought I was supposed to be a nurse the rest of my life, like in somewhere nowhere India, So okay, let's go with this. So they made changes, and so then I started looking for another sales job. Went with U.S. Security Associates, and I ended up being there for well over 12 years. And sales started out as a caller, and then by the time I left, I was a manager leading a sales team of 20 people, and then I got promoted to outside sales. And so then there was some restructuring, and then I went into software sales, and then got back into security, working for a robot company of all things, a security robotic company. And then they made changes last year, and then now I'm a security engineer. So I love security because it's great. I get to help people because we keep them secure, get the safe part, and so that's the professional side of Rebecca Strobl. And then there's a volunteer side of Rebecca Strobl, that the gated community we live here in North Georgia. My husband and I were going to eat over 12 and a half years ago one night, ran into some volunteer firefighters that lived in our community, and they said, hey, you should be a volunteer. And I'm like, I'm a security sales professional, and my husband's a chiropractor. What do we know about being firefighters? But we started realizing that, like, the community we live in, the response time was long. We both had, some medical knowledge because I had been on that nursing path for a while. And we're like, you know what? There's a need. We can help. Let's go for it. So we jumped in with both feet. Again, well, all the full-time job is still going hot and heavy. We jumped in, ended up getting our firefighter certification, became licensed urban EMTs, wilderness EMTs, and then, long into being part of that department about 7 years ago, our chief, our fire chief, basically resigned, and I raised my hand and said, you know what, I've been the lieutenant of medical operations the last several years. I've been doing medical training. I really think I can make a difference, and there's some things that we need to improve, and we need to get back to the humanity and caring for our community instead of it just being all a demonstration of look how bad and great we are. And I said, I want to do it. And they all looked at me, and all men, and nothing against the guys out there, but it's pretty awesome that they recognized and respected my abilities, and they elected me as their fire chief. So 7 years ago, I became the first female volunteer fire chief in my county.
I love it. And I love the journey of it too, is that, I was talking to somebody earlier today, and we were talking about sales, and it's like a lot of times you have like these bad experiences with them.
Yes.
And they get like these cheesy names or whatever to it. But the ones that I know that are the greatest is because they care. And it actually is genuine cariness, like caring deep down about humanity, as you said. So where did it go from the point that you were apologizing for caring or keep doing things because you care for others? And you said a point like, hey, I'm not sorry. I see a need. I'm going to meet a need, and I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah, I'd say it was both in that volunteer experience with the fire department, because the way I was a volunteer chief, that happened very frequently, because like people on the paid side of our county would be like, why are you sending handwritten cards to people? They're firefighters, or why are you dropping by our firefighter's house and giving them balloons because their wife was sick or they just had a baby? And that's when I started to get to the point, because you know what? It's well beyond just responding when you go to 911. And I saw that on the professional side with my employees, that group of 20 I had, when I took over, when I got promoted to management, is we had crazy turnover. People didn't want to stay in the department. I mean, you go in the break room, and I'd have a new employee that like their first day, they'd be like, oh, so we're taking bets. Maybe you'll make it till the end of today. It was so bad. So I'm like, I have to do something radically different. So then I really started coming up with ways to show that I cared about my employees. And of course, in the company, everyone was like, why are you doing that? That's not what we do. Why are you wasting your money? The company's not going to reimburse you for buying enough pizza for people to take a meal home to their families. We're not going to reimburse you because you're buying all these balloons and flowers and all this other crazy stuff. And I'm like, I don't need to be reimbursed. I want my employees to know that I care. I want my firefighters to know that I care. And you know what? On both levels, they did amazing things. Our community was blessed. The company, oh yeah, our CEO, he got all kinds of money in his pocket, but it all went to, you know what, I am going to stop apologizing for that. I do things different, and that is fueled by caring, focusing that we are humans first, and we're all these other things later.
I love that, because it actually makes me think of a time whenever I went on a Sunday, and every Easter at one of the clients I have, I do over 500 Easter eggs, and we put messages in them. Me and my kids do it. And they're like, it's your day off. You're not going to get paid. And you understand that you can't count that towards your 40 hours. And I'm like, do you think I care? Like, it's about the people. And for me, and that's what I'm interested in you, is like, how has it helped you also succeed? Because people are like, you're spending your money, you're wasting your money. But in the end, whenever you focus on people, profits will come. But that's not the purpose of it. It's purpose on the people. So what would you say about that?
Well, I say, when it comes to on the professional side, like we're talking about in business, people want to buy from people, not an organization. So they want to buy from you, the person. And human beings, according to Aristotle, we're all social. We're social creatures. And so that's where it has to start. So that's what I've seen, is when you get the focus back on, let me get to know you as a person. Let me figure out, what is stressing you out? What is causing you to lose sleep at night? What's making your job easier? If I can focus on how I can help get rid of your stress as a person, figure out what that is, then I can open up my bag, of resources, from the company or whoever I represent and say, okay, what do I have in this bag of resources that I can help take that stress and that burden off of your shoulders? You know, and when you make that the driving focus, then the sales will come, because now they know that you're just not some slimy salesperson. You're actually legitimate and you're caring.
I love it. So what are some suggestions or invitations for advice that you would give for people to start caring more or getting into the space that's saying, hey, you can do it? Maybe some stories or some experiences.
I would say, you know, start having real conversations with people, and not only conversations, but start listening, you know? So like, for instance, when I led that inside sales team of 20 plus people, you know, needless to say, I had all kinds of personalities in there. It was an interesting situation, to say the least. Same thing on the firefighting side. So, you know, people are quick when they're under stress and they're going through something to start telling you all about it. So instead of tuning them out, start listening. So when the single mom was talking about, you know, I have an hour drive and I have to leave, you know, of my hour drive, I have to go pick up my kid, and then I got another 30-minute drive home. And by the time I get home, I'm just too tired to cook. Okay, you listen to that. So the next time you want to have a meeting and you order food for everybody, order extra food. You know, because you know, that single mom, she doesn't want to have to cook when she gets home that night.
And it's just the offer and the invitation, and it's that time to get to know people. So what is a time that you've had or experience that you've had where like your caring has filled your bucket up so much and you're just like, yes, like this is why, like, all those haters keep hating because, yeah, that one person. So have you had that time?
Yes, actually, it's funny the analogy that you use as far as fill the bucket up, because I definitely have to share this story. So when I was elected as the first female fire chief, the county fire chief at the time basically made a special gesture, and he's like, if you put together a pinning ceremony and get, you know, key players there, I will show up and I will pin basically your bugles on your firefighter uniform, which in the history of our county had never been done for a volunteer. The county people had never done that. So I was able to get a congressman. I got our county commissioner. I'm also an advisor for our county's explorer post. So they have like their own honor guard. So I recruited all those explorers like, hey, I'm your advisor. By the way, like, this historical thing is happening. Could you be my honor guard? And they're like, yeah, sure, Chief Strobl, we'll be there. So it's funny. One of the gentlemen who was one of my firefighters in my department, he was one of those people that was always on my case about, why do you do it this way? And why do you care so much? And, you know, I would always be trying to reach out to him, and he was just Mr. Grumpy, wouldn't have it. And he told me, we were in that room about maybe 2 hours before the ceremony, setting up chairs. And he told my husband, this is a waste of time. Why did you have me come here early and set up all these chairs? It's a waste of time. This is stupid. Nobody's going to be in this room. Nobody cares. Well, you know, all those years before I became the chief, I had sent out the handwritten cards, organized, you know, community events, stop by people's houses. Hey, how's it going? Talk to them at the mailboxes, written articles, all kinds of different things. So it was hilarious, because when the actual time came for the event to start, there were so many people in that room, we did not have enough chairs. There were people standing in the back and around the sides, and the county chiefs of our county fire department, when they tried to come into the building, they couldn't get inside because there were so many people that were lined up trying to greet me and hug me and tell me congratulations and thank me for everything that I've done and my firefighters had done, that they had to wait with the residents to actually get to me.
I love it. And that's the thing too, is that I know that you're not saying this like to like brag or anything, because I know your heart, but you're just saying this because this is the fact that people don't see, that the time, those handwritten notes, those care, like, it pays off, because in essence you have a team that, and I guess this is my next question for you, is when times get rough, because you did those steps, how hard or how much easier, I guess it is, to ask for help?
It's much easier. So like another example, you know, on the security side, you know, I recently sold a client that I've been, you know, working on for a long time. A lot of these personal notes, flowers, happy anniversary, that kind of stuff, and there were some challenges there. And because of all that sowing before then, and, I love Galatians 6, 7, and 9, because it says, for whatever a man soweth, he shall also reap. And verse 9, let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. So that is like total poster child of my life. Don't give up. Keep doing good. Keep doing good. Keep sowing good. It's going to reap. Your harvest is coming. So with this example is I had sown all that into sort of like the main decision maker. And then because of that, they gave us a chance, like, hey, I have this other employee that has this problem, and I know that you can offer a solution. So, hey, I'll connect you to. And there was some challenges in the relationship at first, but, I took that extra, step in showing that we care to our new contact. And you know what? When we had to go to them and be like, okay, so I think there's some communications breakdown, this is what's going on, where are we missing? I'm convinced that we got that little bit of mercy, and we got that additional patience to be like, okay, well, you have this communication style, we have this communication style, let's marry the two together. But if that caring hadn't happened before that, they wouldn't have had the patience. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't have gone that extra mile to be like, oh, well, wow, they are doing everything they said they would do. It's just I wasn't 100% understanding what they were doing because of, some miscommunication. So absolutely, caring for people, that paves the way, because it goes back to the human factor. When you know somebody and you know that they're working there, what off, and they're trying to be of help, you're a lot less likely to be short with them, even though you might have had like the day from the hot place. It's like it helps you pull patience and mercy from where you didn't think you have it to like, okay, we can work this out.
And I love it too, because what I hear is grace, that whenever you care, because it's a human to human approach, you're not buying in essence from just some random stranger. You're buying from a human. And we always talk about in wellness a lot of the times why we want the human to drive the technology, not the technology to drive human, is just think of it this way. If a watch dings at 10 till to tell you to move in steps, there's so many times that you can just like turn it off, or like snooze button. It tells you to wake up in the morning, but you just knock it off. But if a human that you care about tells you, hey, you need to get up, like, you're more likely to do it. And so in essence, that connection and how you have built it out, that it's a care instead of a nuisance. Yeah. If that makes sense.
And also back to the whole sowing and reaping is, there's going to be times in our lives where we need people to care. And if you don't sow that into others people's lives, it's not going to come back. I mean, another great example is, last probably February timeframe, I was working for a security robotic company. Everything was great. They had some financial difficulties, and like, news to me, I get a call that you no longer have a job. And I'm like, oh boy, what am I going to do? Well, it goes back to caring because of those connections I had made way back to being with that security company for all those decades. It was those connections and taking the time to get to know people, the person that I reported to at the security robotic company. When I called them, like literally, I got the call, you don't have a job. I'm like, okay. So then hey, guess what? I don't have a job, because the person who used to be my boss had resigned. And then I reached out to people that I had worked with well over a decade. Hey, I don't have a job. Can you help? And it wasn't even a month. It was like a matter of 3 weeks, and I had a new job. And that was 100% because of those relationships, of keeping in touch with people and reaching out and let them know that, I attended a sales seminar years ago. Todd Cohen, he's awesome. I recommend people follow him, but he's all about sales culture. And he's like, you need to build into your life the non-agenda contact, the non-agenda phone call, the non-agenda email, the non-agenda LinkedIn post, and use that to start building a reason to get an agenda with somebody. And I took that to heart, and it's definitely paid off.
And it's so cool to think too that some of the times that we're most connected is okay. I'm gonna flop off of that one real quick because it makes me think about LinkedIn today. Somebody got, oh, my phone's over there. I don't have it. But somebody messaged me today, and it was one on LinkedIn. How LinkedIn works is that it usually has like your title underneath it. Like it says, I'm president of Workzbe is underneath mine, you know. This one had dot, dot, dot. It had nothing. So like whenever they messaged you, you had to go look it up. And then on the other thing, had so much marketing psychology that made you want to tap into it. But it was so fake.
Yes.
And so vague and so agenda-y that I told him, or I responded back to the message and said, thank you for talking to me. Great, amazing psychology efforts that you put in here. And I highlighted that, like how you put some guilt like on the messaging too. Like, I know you're busy and we're all busy, but like, especially if you connect with humans, it's like, oh, I'm not too busy for you. I will. And I'm like, and I almost clicked on it, but then there was just too much. And those are the people that frustrate me because you have so many people almost playing you that whenever you come up or somebody like us that actually cares, it takes people a few times to even like, what's their agenda? You know, like, and you probably even had that said to you. So what do you do for people, or how do you help people that are like, I'm not sure yet. Still not sure yet. What do you say to those?
Well, you know, that's funny. That reminds me, the very first sales appointment I ever had when I transitioned from being an inside sales manager to actually going out in the field and being outside sales. I had this gentleman who had been a police officer forever. And I walk into his office and I sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm so excited. This is my first outside sales call. Here we go. And he's like, you're from a security company. You guys are all idiots. You don't know anything. So what do you got for me? And basically how I approached him and my recommendation is I was brutally honest. And I said, yes, I'm with a security company. And yes, unfortunately, our industry doesn't necessarily have the best track record. And I agree. There are some companies out there that don't say what they have to do. But sir, I've been with this company for X amount of years. The team I represent, I know personally. I've worked with X amount of years, and these are their capabilities. I understand that you're having possibly these kind of challenges, and this is what I'm offering to help. And personally, I'm the type of person, I'm not going to lay my head on my pillow tonight and tell you a story. I have to be able to look myself in the mirror every day, and I have to be able to sleep at night. So this is what I can do to help you. So that would be my recommendation, is be honest with people when they're questioning you and saying, do you really care about me? I would be honest. As soon as they ask that, get honest and to your point instantly. Don't try to fluff and nothing, but be instant with your agenda and just say, look, I work for so-and-so. I understand that this is your company or this is what you're doing, and I believe that there's a possibility that I could assist. So give me a minute.
What would you tell people that are now, they've listened to this and they understand that caring matters? What's some tips or tricks to make it easier? Because you have to deal with a headache population. There's headache people throughout it. I say 10% of people are about headache population. Most people are amazing, but the different personalities, different. What are some of your tips and your go-tos to be able to foster that caring without wanting to kill or go to the next level? Like, oh, let's just end this. Let's end this relationship. Let's go off, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Well, one tip would be, if you have the privilege, like, you're about to have a conversation with that person, and it's either virtually, like we're doing now a lot, or you're about to make a phone call, or you're about to go in a room, run to the restroom or someplace and take several deep breaths, and just take, even if it's a minute or two, to calm yourself down and to think about, all right, in your mind, view that person as a person. Take a minute to separate the part of them or their behavior that's causing you to be a headache. Separate that out. Okay, this is a person, and how can I help this human? And that helps immensely, whether it's in business or in personal relationships, is to just separate that out and be like, okay, they're a human. And like, why, especially on the personal side, okay, like, why did I marry this individual? Why, why do I have this relationship? It's like, get your mind focused on, okay, this is what matters. That's a number one tip.
And two, how has this helped in your professional world, or it may stem from your personal world first, but how has that impacted like your relationships, like with your spouse or your family members and such? How has that helped, and how is caring?
It's definitely helped a lot, definitely, with my spouse of, taking that time to be, again, like I said, sort of taking that moment to be like, okay, wait a second. This thing that's giving me a headache right now really isn't a big deal when I look at what's important. What's giving me a big deal is very superficial, but it's not a core issue. And professionally, it has helped me immensely. I would have never been able to successfully complete firefighting school if I hadn't learned all those lessons in the security world, for sure, because it taught me how to interact with different people and how to be professional and get my point across, but not, let's face it, as women, when it comes to certain industries, we're not necessarily respected 100%. And so we have to go that extra level and actually demonstrate that we know what we're doing and give 100% commitment, and not just rely on, some areas, look at me. You actually have to show up and show out. And so, by caring, it's helped me, because I took lessons from other individuals that really did care. They gave it 110%. So that's helped me immensely.
Oh, I love it. So I do want to highlight some of the comments from people listening in.
Yes.
One of the comments they said is they love that you said figure it out. And they also said, Nathan Bennett said, I would buy from you anytime. So, and Ryan, he said, we will share your contact information as well, that we'll put that in the script. So just get in contact. And that's the thing, if you do want to contact any of our people that we have on the show, reach out to me, or as always, we'll put it on the news feed, or it will also be in the podcast link. And another viewer said, you ladies always answer and help me. And he said, thank you. And we'll give that back. Thank you to everybody that's listening to this and watching, and time again, just giving your time to this to learn and to grow about things about humanity. So my final question for you is, what would be your final words, your final thoughts about how you're not sorry for caring for people and for others and humans?
Absolutely. So my final thought is the quote that I wrote to motivate myself and to inspire me to be an amazing volunteer fire chief. And this is the quote: courage and compassion call us to action. They give us the boldness to believe that we can achieve to believe the impossible is possible.
Amen. Because it's that mindset.
Yes.
And it's the courage to step out, because anytime, Brene Brown talks about it all the time, but vulnerability has to have courage. Courage has to have vulnerability. It's a coupling effect. They have to come together. So stepping out, and that part is caring. You have to be vulnerable. You have to open yourself. It does take courage. You've probably been messed with so many times in the past, but caring matters. They're humans. It's that golden rule: treat others as you would like to be treated. And I hope that you want to be cared for. So, Rebecca, I just want to thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody that listened in and watched. I hope you have an amazing day, and stay blessed, stay well. And until next time, see you then.